Okay, you fans of James Dean all over the world, I'm on 23rd Street. I'm on the street where he lived from 7 years old to 9 years old, and where his beloved mother Mildred died after getting uterine cancer and dying at 29. And I'm on the corner of 23rd Street and Santa Monica Boulevard, and right there is St. John's Hospital, and right there is McKinley Elementary, where the young Jimmy would have gone to first to third grade. And here it is, 23rd Street. Now unfortunately, the house at 1422, that was the second home that Jimmy lived in here in Santa Monica. They lived at 26th Street, and then they moved to 23rd Street, and then I've heard, I don't know if it's apocryphal, but they lived on 6th Street. But I got the two addresses for 23rd and 26th. Okay, well, he lived at 1422, and he would have started first grade here after doing kindergarten on when they lived on 26th or 6th Street, whichever the case may be. But at least these few bungalows right here, these are the type of houses that Jimmy would have lived in over there at the corner of Shader Street right there. And of course, this old building obviously would have been here, but I don't think this Kennedy-esque era red brick building obviously wouldn't have been there. But these are the houses that Jimmy would have played past, skated past, probably even played with the local children on these porches right here. And this is what the eyes of the young Jimmy would have seen. And thankfully they're still here. And too bad the house where Jimmy was living in with his beloved mother Mildred and his father Winton has been torn out. And most likely Jimmy probably would have been playing, because back then they obviously had a lot of kids in each house. And here's 1421, so quite patently he would have lived right there at 1422 from 1938 to 1940. And those photos that I zoomed in on at the beginning, those are quite apparent that he would have taken those photos while living here on the corner of 23rd and Shader in Santa Monica. Okay, well, his mother, thankfully to Mildred, who died at 29 in a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. This is where Jimmy, the tragedy that he lived in as a young boy, never quite getting over it. And you can almost feel the tragedy and the tearfulness and the poignancy of the young Jimmy and Winton suffering through his beloved mother's death right here on this corner. And the sad event that took place here. But you can almost say that it tore his heart apart, but it opened up his heart to be a great, fantastic actor. One of the greatest actors, in my opinion, of the 20th century. And even though, notwithstanding his 3 films, he did, thankfully, 31 teleplays, television, movies, short vignettes, if you will. And thankfully, I have a DVD that has 21. The rest of the other 10 are either in private hands or have been destroyed. And so maybe one of these days, the people that have them in private hands will let us see the rest of those fantastic films that he did for live television in New York City. Okay, well, thankfully to Mildred, she imbued James Byron Dean, that romantic middle name that she gave Jimmy, because she loved poetry so much. And thankfully that Mildred imbued that artistic bent and brought it out of her young son, notwithstanding that Winton wanted his boy to be what they called a regular American boy, playing baseball, football, and with other little boys. Thankfully, Mildred brought that natural artistic bent that Jimmy had, and imbued in him the love of poetry, music, the arts. And she even, in this house, she built a cardboard theater with paper cutouts as actors, and she used to tell a lot of stories to Jimmy, tall tales. That's why when Jimmy grew up, a lot of his friends said he was always telling tall tales, like Paul Bunyan, that sort of thing, fantasy stories. His mother was always inventing stories, and she gave him tap dancing lessons, violin lessons. So she quite rightly brought out the natural inclination for the young Jimmy. Okay, well, of course, she died when she died at 29, July 14th, Bastille Day, 1940. Went in, his heart was broken. Probably reminded him too much of his young late wife. He had to send him back to Indiana with his mother. And in the back of the train, they said that was where the coffin was laid of poor Mildred. And they said at every stop, his grandmother said poor Jimmy would stop and run to the back to make sure his mother's coffin hadn't fallen off. Poor sad boy, so poignant. But like I said before, it ripped his heart open, but it also opened his heart up for truer and better and artistic things. Because one needs a shattered heart, a broken heart, to be able to play and affect the acting ability. Okay, and I thought it was appropriate to come here this day on Mother's Day 2016 in memory of Mildred and what she gave to the world. Okay, well, thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe, and all the memories, the poignant memories, of course, but happy memories too. Taking the red car to downtown Santa Monica with Mildred and Jimmy, of course, going to all the movies over there in Santa Monica, and all the happy times that Mildred and Jimmy had in this little street. So wherever you are, Mildred, good night, sweet princess.